Hey, how are you all today? Good afternoon. Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I have my special guest back with me today. Some of you met him the other night, my son Aiden, my 17-year-old. He's in high school. We're still down at the cabin. But there's a number of, well, I had so many requests. I want to see more of Aiden. He better not try to take over this channel. Okay. You'll probably build it a lot faster than I can. Okay. But you know, there's what I want to talk about today is a subject that comes up frequently. And it's, I get a lot of comments on it, probably because most of us involved in preparedness, and particularly on this channel, are older. You know, I forget what the demographics are. It's, I don't know, you know, over 40, right? And then we have a smaller group that's between 25 and 40. I think I never check my demographics. But one of the concerns is that younger people, besides all the concerns that older people always have about younger people, and your previous generation had the same about you. So, is that, gee, the younger people just don't understand, they just don't get it, they're, you know, lazy, they're this, they're that, they don't know anything. Well, none of it that is true. It's true of some, you know, just like it's true of some older people, but it's not true of most younger people. One of the reasons that I wanted Aiden on here, he is the epitome of a hard-working, smart, knows what's going on in the world, conservative family values type of person. We're not necessarily going to be talking about those things today. What we're going to be talking about is preparedness. And something that I was surprised to discover only recently about how younger people are becoming more interested in preparedness.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So I'm going to give a little more of an intro here, and then I'm going to let you jump in and run with it if you will. As most of you can imagine, being my son, as are the other two kids, especially when my first book came out, The Reversion in 2017, in which I included all of my kids in the very first chapter, and they got a kick out of it. How old were you when that came out? So that's
9.
Like okay, that. 9. So you know, when he was 9, you can imagine he got a kick out of seeing his name in a book, right? And the others also. But of course, being around me, they were just exposed to the idea of preparedness over and over. I mean, on a daily basis, right? And to the point, to be honest, I think they got sick of it. You know, as you know, do you remember how you got sick of the stuff that your parents thought was important at the time? I did. And if you didn't, you're a rarity, right? They even made a video quite a while back that when I put this one up over on the Patreon channel, and it was because we had thought about them doing a YouTube video, a channel of their own. It was called Prepper Kids, and it started Kansas Prepper Kids, and they were all dressed in camo and stuff like that. And it was cool. It was a great video, and they were cute as could be, but they didn't want to keep doing it. So you know, Dad didn't make them do it. But anyway, being around me, they heard these things over and over and over again, and I realized after a while, I gotta cool it, man. You know, there's no reason to always be talking about this kind of stuff, because you do that too much, you're gonna drive them away. Well, recently, I discovered that Aiden is even more, and again, let me back up just a half an inch here. I made sure that they knew what to do in case of an emergency. But he's always been very emergency minded anyway. So just recently I discovered that he was getting interested in preparedness more than I realized, and many of the people his age also are. Now I'm going to jump off here. Are you ready to jump in and kind of explain how this came about?
Sure.
Take it.
Well, a lot of times we'll be talking and talking about preparedness, and he'll be like, "Oh, did you hear this and that?" And I said, "Yeah, actually, on TikTok."
That's right.
On social media. And at first he was like, "What? Really?" And yeah, and there's a lot of things that you wouldn't expect to find on TikTok, and that's one of them.
Because so many of us older people, we have this idea, or I did, that TikTok is bad, right? It's Chinese, commies, everything like this. There's a lot of great information that our younger generation is learning from.
Yep. Yeah. Also, Instagram Reels. That's another thing. I know there's a lot of controversy about Instagram and Meta and all that in the government right now. But I also get on Twitter. Twitter is also a very good source that I get my things on, because they don't really censor the information that is put onto the platform, which I respect, and that's why I continue to find my information on there compared to like regular news outlets, because you get these videos and they're younger people on these platforms talking about it, so I'm a little bit more engaged when someone my age is talking about it compared to someone in Senate or something like that,
Right.
Yeah. But I'd say social media has had such an impact on the way that I've gotten my information, and the way I've looked at things and made my own decisions, because I'm showed this information on both sides and I'm able to make my judgment, compared as to one-sided news. They only say what they believe. So that's one thing that I really like about social media and finding my news through that.
And let me ask you this, and you have found that a lot of what you heard from there aligns with what you've heard from me over the years,
Yep,
right?
Yep.
Big shock. Here again, those of us who have not followed these other social media outlets have this idea that they're all just spewing a bunch of commie stuff, right? A bunch of left-wing stuff. And I have discovered that's simply not true. I'm sure there's a lot of that on there.
Yeah.
But it's not just that.
Yeah. And then the nice thing about it is it learns what your opinions are. It sees the kinds of things that you like and comment on, and it shows you more of that content based upon what the things that you like in your opinions. And so, I mean, if you want to find all the commie stuff, if you're on that side, it'll show it to you. But if you're on my side, then you're going to get the information that you want, and that's something that I really like. And you didn't really there's a lot of fact-checking stuff that you see, but I've noticed on TikTok there's really none of that. That's more of an Instagram kind of thing that I've noticed. You don't really see it on Twitter either, but that's why I find most of my stuff on TikTok and Twitter, because they don't censor their information and they don't fact check it, as they say.
Nice.
Yeah.
I get my banners up under mine all the time. Every time I mention, I won't mention it here, I'll get a banner, but you know how it is on YouTube, right?
Yep.
Let me back you up just a little bit, and then we'll talk about the preparedness aspect. What kind of drills did I have you guys go through from the time you were very young, whenever we take a trip?
You say, how many miles are we, and how long would it take to walk back there? And you're only as fast as your slowest person. So at the time, how old do you think Morgan was? She was young.
6?
Yeah, 6. And
5 or 6.
5 or 6-year-olds can't walk super far.
Yeah.
Of course. So we calculated that through, your slowest person, and we'd be like, what, 30 days to walk back home? It's crazy, but it was good to keep that in mind, because that's something that I continue to think of till this day.
Yeah, and so we would pack as much food if we could. Now, when we're down at the cabin, we know that it's going to, at that age, it would take us 20 days to get back. Yeah. Probably now 10 to 12, because, she can hoof it just as well as everybody else. So it cuts our travel time, so we don't have to take as much food. We always have there's always a food box in the truck, right, that has about, 20 days worth of food. And I'll cover that in another one. Plus, what else do we bring with us when we're
water filters? That's probably a huge thing, because it's heavy carrying water, and if you have a little portable filter that you can drink out of a pond and you don't get all the crap in the pond, that's a huge thing. Heavy jackets, you never know what the weather's going to be like, especially if you don't have a phone to tell you. It's always good to have that. And even if it's cold out, you never know if it'll be hot or you'll be too hot. So always packing clothes like that. Just preparing for any sort of occasion or season is always super important.
Right. Plus we always have our defense tools. I have to be careful what I say about this, but I'll just put in here that we always bring a pistol for each person who is old enough or that I feel has trained enough to operate it. Plus, anytime we're 100 miles or more from home or over a river, we bring a rifle. Now getting back, plus extra things to feed it with. And how much? Doesn't matter. You take what you think is right, and that's for another video on Patreon. So you've had this kind of exposed to you just through osmosis, through me, through through the years? And has that kind of been running behind, just a real running in the back of your mind whenever we're traveling?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just thinking about the things that you've gone over with me since I was young, you know.
Now I'm sure, and I'm going to ask your advice here, because I'm sure, and I won't ask it because you don't want to say something that you're afraid would make me offended or anything like that. I'm sure that there were times that I stressed it to the extent that they were tired of hearing it, okay? And that can drive somebody away. Again, remember when your parents were trying to get you to do something, right? Let me ask you this. There's a lot of people on here, and then I'm going to ask you about how your friends are thinking about this. There are a lot of people on here who are parents or grandparents who say, I can't get everybody in my family to be interested in preparedness. They won't believe me. They don't, blah, blah, blah. So what would your advice from a younger person be for those who are trying to, introduce the importance of preparedness to their children or their grandchildren? What would be your advice to them?
I just say start doing it for yourself and have them watch you and just show that you're relieved that you're doing it. Because it's there's so much relief preparing because you know that you're taking care of yourself and you're going to be safe if something did happen. I'd say that just telling everyone that you're so relieved that you have all this and you're going to be safe if something did happen. If someone told that to me, I'd probably be like, oh, well, if they're going to be good, then they're going to be taken care of, then I should probably do that too, jump on the bandwagon there. That's probably the main thing I'd say, because I know a lot of people who I've sent videos to and all that, and it kind of puts them away from it, the main idea. But when I do things myself, then they ask questions. So just allow them to ask questions instead of putting it directly at them. Have them ask questions if they are curious.
All right, now I'm going to ask a question that's dangerous, and a good lawyer never asks this kind of question. You never ask a question that you don't know the answer to, right, to begin with, because but did it or did it not make you feel when you started understanding the importance of it, did it make you feel a little bit more, at ease knowing that I was, prepared and I was taking care of things?
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Yeah, because I didn't have to worry about it. I knew that if something did happen, that, like I said, we'd be taken care of. And there's nothing. It's always good to think about the possibilities of what can happen, not just to EMP or CME, but just emergencies in general, like medical emergencies, technological emergencies. What if, for instance, I've had a couple apps not working the way that they should be that I rely on. What if something like that happened? What if what if you don't have cellular in your area and you need to know where someone is, especially since we're in the midst of the Ozarks right here, that you don't really get reception everywhere, and it could be simple as just saying, oh, I'm going down here real quick, I'll be down here if you guys need me, just to know where everyone is. I think it's very important. Communication, right, is very important.
And you've had the opportunity to be around, to meet and be around some of my friends from years and years and years, and they're a bunch of hardcore guys, and so you knew from that this is more normal, that other people also were involved in this, right? More than just if I was the only one that you knew, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Now there is something, and we won't tell them where it is or how it's situated, but when Aiden started getting interested in our food storage, I'd like you to tell them how you organized.
Yeah.
I turned it over to, how old were you when I turned that over to you in the location where we have our food storage?
Like 13.
13, okay. And I said, now Aiden is an organizer, and so when I said, and when they first saw how much food we had, what was your reaction?
I wasn't aware of how much we had. This is gonna last us forever. We have an unlimited lifetime supply of food, which is not really, but
not the way you eat.
Yeah, no. But yeah, I was.
So I turned it over to him, and without mentioning the location of this, can you explain to him how you went about what you did?
Yeah.
13 years old.
We had these huge shelves big, huge metal shelves, probably about 7 feet tall, 6.5 feet tall. And one of my favorite stores has always been IKEA. And I know you can laugh at that, but I love the way IKEA is. If you're not familiar with IKEA, you walk through a big section and you look at different things, and they have different numbers on them. And at the end, if there's something that you're wanting to purchase, you find that number, and it's in a certain aisle and bin and row in the warehouse at the very end. So what I do is I made certain rows, one row for vegetables, one row for like dry food, one row for toilet paper, toiletries, things that you need, and I made certain levels depending on nutritional value, is how much I liked it. Peas and green beans because they're green or some stuff like that. But I organized all these different rows, and I had the different letters and all that, and I made a Google Sites. If you're not familiar with Google Sites, you can make a free website through Google Drive, and I made all of it's almost like a website, like a store website, and it told you where everything was. So if you're completely across the house and you don't know where something is, you can just go to the website. It says corn is aisle 2, row 4 or something like that, and then you go down there and find aisle 2 and bin 4, and then the corn will be right there.
and he was such an organizer. He got his little brother and sister, who were very young at the time, and they went at it just like a what do you call it?
Like an assembly
line of handing, they'd bring him the different items. He'd tell them what to get next. They'd bring it, he'd stack it, he'd organize it. And everything. They went at it. I mean, they were actually excited about it. They did a great job, right?
If you could make a game out of it, you can really win anyone.
Isn't that the truth?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's exactly right.
That was the biggest way that I got my younger siblings engaged in preparedness, was making a game out of it, because they enjoy it. They didn't look at it as, oh, Aiden's making me stack a bunch of cans on the shelf. They're like, oh, we're playing grocery store.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I came home one day, and I'm not sure if this was before or after we made your all's video at Big Cedar for Kansas Prepper Kids. And you guys, if you're watching this on Patreon, I'll put the link to their video down there. Make sure you watch it. And if you're not with us on Patreon, it's worth you coming over just to see it. But I don't know whether this was before or after that. But I walked in our family room one time, and they were all sitting behind. We had this big footstool or something, and it's been a while. And they were sitting there, and they were showing me the video that they were going to do, and it was so cute. They were talking about, what would happen, a societal collapse and CMEs and EMPs, and they were just doing it as a game. And at the end of it, I said, and what are some of the things that we might need to take if we were, if this would happen, if we were gonna bug out or whatever like that? And they looked at each other, and the very first answer was from his younger brother Brody. He said, snacks. So that goes into making it fun, right?
Yep.
They weren't all scared and all serious and everything like that, but they were thinking snacks. And it's important to have some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Make sure you have some cookies and some snacks, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go to Aldi. It's going to be your best friend.
That's right. Let's jump forward now to more the current, the present, and what do you see in your peer group and your friend? Now, Aiden has a very wide variety of friends in many different schools and many different areas. And that's one of the things. He's involved in so many different activities, some in school, many outside of school, that he has a wide range of friends in really different aspects of, they're not all the same.
Yeah.
Right? To what extent do you think younger people are understanding that having a little bit of interest in preparedness is important?
Yeah. I'd say that there's been a lot of talk about politics among my friends lately. You didn't really see that in the last election. Obviously, we were younger and didn't understand it. But I know a lot of people are able to, people my age are able to vote this year. And so they're seeing how the country's going and what can affect their life and their children's lives and how to make their lives better. One of the first signs I saw of preparedness with my friends are, this sounds really weird, but just battery packs for your phone. certain battery packs. You just stick them on the back of your phone if you have wireless charging, and you'll be able to use your phone for a couple days without having to charge it. And I know a lot of people who go camping and their phones were always dying. Okay, and I said, what if you brought like a battery pack with you? And they're like, that's such a good idea. So I know a lot of people who've done that, and that's expanded into other things like bringing extra snacks, stuff like that.
Which is just a fancy fun term for food.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, that's the thing.
Yes.
You introduce preparedness concepts with normal nomenclature.
Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't scare them away. You see, oh, more food? Yeah.
Yeah.
More cookies, more protein bars, more whatever.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they're prepared and don't even know it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Another thing that I've seen are people who would always leave their gas on empty or the last line. I told them, I said, you guys, half of a tank is empty.
Right.
Keep it at a full tank, because you never know where you're going to have to go. I know a lot of people who are always running out of gas, and always saying, "Can you come help me? Can you come bring me gas?" And I said, "Why are you running out of gas? Why are you relying on a responsible person to take care of your irresponsible mistakes?"
Boy.
So just little things like that that people my age didn't think of. It really surprised me. I'm like, you always leave your gas on empty? That's crazy.
Let me interrupt again to quote you. Why do you rely on responsible people to correct your irresponsible mistakes? How good is that, right? I talk about preparedness is the ultimate responsibility and the ultimate irresponsibility. He's the one that everybody calls when they're in trouble. I mean, we're all over the place. The phone will ring at 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. Aiden, I'm stuck in a snowdrift.
Yeah.
Can you come help me?
Yeah.
You know what? The first thing he says, what are you doing out there? Why are you out there? Why can't you get yourself out? Right? And then he goes and gets him out.
Yeah.
But he makes him answer the question first.
Yeah, but I'd say half of it is, obviously preparing is good, but if you can stay out of a situation where you didn't need help in the first place, then that's probably the first thing that you need to think about. Just keeping yourself out of harm's way, where you don't need to rely on other people or other things. It's very important.
That's the truth. And now I want to, because I've been keeping this in my mind, I wanted to get back to this. If you noticed a few minutes ago when he said people his age were thinking about what they should do for their children.
Yeah.
So many, we have so many overgrown children out there in their 30s and 40s who don't even think about that. And 50s. Some people just never grow up. And here again, a lot of people crack on the younger generation as not being responsible, blah, blah, blah. But this generation, many of them are already, he's 17, he's already thinking about, how am I going to be responsible and take care of my children? Now, we know that's not coming for a while, right? But he's already thinking about it.
Yeah.
And that is something that other people your age think about?
Yep. And
thank goodness for your generation. You're going to make up for some people ahead of you.
Yeah. I had one of my friends is going to college, and she wants to go to Florida for not really an apparent reason. She just likes Florida. I said, okay, do you want to raise your kid in Florida? Do you want to raise your kid in Kansas? I know a lot of people that want to go to California too. I'm like, do you want to raise your kid in California? When, cost of living is fine here. You have great opportunities. We talked about that in the last video that I was in. But thinking ahead, are you putting yourself in a responsible situation for you and your kids? It might be right for you, but if you want kids, is this going to be a good situation for them?
Right. Forward thinking. That's what preparedness is. Preparedness is thinking about how you can position yourself to do the best in the future, right?
Yep.
So let's see if we have any additional thoughts to put in here. I'm sure when I get done, I'll think, oh man, I wish I would have asked you this or that or the other thing. It'll be interesting to see what comments we get.
Yeah.
You all feel free to ask questions in the comments of Aiden. And here again, I'm gonna throw it out, one more open-ended question to you, just to kind of bring it to a conclusion. Again, for the people out here who have children, or in many cases grandchildren, that they're thinking, I wish I could get them interested in preparedness to at least some degree, right? Give them some, kind of cap this off with a little last advice for them, whatever you can.
Make it fun. Don't make it scary. Because preparedness can be so scary if you're looking at the situations that you're preparing for, especially for people my age. A lot of people are in denial, like, oh, that's never going to happen.
Right.
You know, show them things also that can make it happen. You know, explain to them why it can happen, and you know the effects. Because I know half the people I talk to, I say most of the people I talk to don't know what an EMP or CME is, or you know even how it started, or what can, or you know, our threats of it. And I just to be honest, I just say showing them why it can happen and why it's important to prepare.
Right. That would have been a good place to stop it, but I'm going to add one more question on there.
Yeah.
Because, and it's not just the CMEs or the EMPs, but things that we might be facing now, war, whether it's Civil War, Revolutionary War, a third world war, an economic collapse, whatever it might be. You have an excellent sense of history.
Yeah.
That's another thing that he has. Not just from me, from hearing it, me spout it ever since he was a baby, but he's had excellent teachers. And he's in a school district where, believe it or not, it's a huge public school district. The teachers are about as conservative as you could get. Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
And they actually teach them the truth about all these things. And so that's exposed you as well. So by having that understanding of the past, of history, you understand that it can happen because it has happened.
Yep. History always repeats itself.
Yeah.
Yep. And you know, it's not just, you know, EMPs like we were talking about. You have cyber attacks. There are, you know, so many things that have gone down because of conflicts around the world.
That's right.
You know, talk about the U.S. government wanting to ban TikTok. You know, that's huge, because if U.S. government bans TikTok, where am I supposed to know the truth about what's happening? You know, that's the big thing. All these foreign-owned social media companies are providing information about our country that, you know, maybe our country doesn't want us to know. So I'd say that's very important to just know, be in the loop about what is happening between the United States or whatever country you're living in and other countries around the world, and see what can be going on, because I know there's a lot of things happening right now.
That's right. Well, you all, you have hope for the future, because this guy and others like him are going to be voting in this next presidential election. Okay. So anyway, that's a good one. I hope that's helped you. I'm sure it's been interesting for you to hear from a younger person about these things. It's fascinating to me to just sit and talk with Aiden and with his younger brother and sister. They know. It would surprise you how much they know and what they think about things. I think you'd be very encouraged for the future. I know I am. They are my A-team. So let me, if you have any questions for Aiden, leave them in the comments. I'm sure he'll be happy to get back and answer you, or I will, or whatever. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. If you're not familiar with the Stonemont series, my series of books, the links will be down below. It's the complete plan for preparing for, surviving, and rebuilding after a complete collapse of everything. And he and his brother and sister are in every one of them.
Yep.
All right. You all have a good day. Aiden, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. I'll be excited to talk to you guys in other videos.
Excellent. Okay. You all have a good day. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.